Alright, GreenTeamers, what's going on?
What's going on, guys?
It's been a minute, but we're back at it again. Coming at you guys with some GreenTeamers news, some Celtics news, some 420 news as well. Got a couple things to smoke on. We got a couple Celtics games to talk about as well. We've missed a lot of games the last couple of weeks. We're going to recap them all. We're going to give you guys our thoughts on last night's game. We played the Philadelphia 76ers. It was a pretty close game for the most part. It had its lulls from start to finish, no bullshit.
For sure.
It had its lulls. But I think as a Celtics fan, you definitely came out thoroughly entertained.
For sure. I think as a Celtics fan, you definitely put in perspective that a win is a win.
Right.
Especially right now where we're kind of just teetering on the 500 level. So we'll take the wins where we can get them.
Nitty gritty.
And like you said, it was a nitty gritty win overall. I think we do have to acknowledge the fact that both teams just kind of had off nights where I think in the, by halftime, both teams had only scored roughly around like 40 points or so. So
yeah, it was
definitely a low scoring game right off the bat, right off the you could tell right from the first quarter.
Right. To start the fourth, I think the score was like 80 to something.
Yeah.
Like to drop only 80 points to start the fourth quarter, like in today's NBA, that's shocking.
Very shocking.
That's some like 2004 stats right there.
Yeah.
Those games would finish 80.
That's before Steph Curry.
Those were drag 'em out games.
For sure. And I did want to mention real quickly as we're sparking it, just shout out to Maverick Cannabis up in Maine. We're not doing a strain of the day here, but they're our go-to pre-rolls when we go up to Maine, so you can't beat them. So shout out them as always.
We decided to join them.
With that being said, though, let's move on, go back into the recap. The episode we missed last week would have featured the Los Angeles Lakers, the OKC Thunder, the Houston Rockets, and the Brooklyn Nets. If you remember from that last episode, Marvin said we would go 2-2, and I said we would go 3-1. Like I also said in that video, I hope that I'm right because that would mean we go 3-1, and I was in fact correct. So shout out to myself.
Now, in terms of the games, you got that wrong. You thought we were going to beat Brooklyn too, right? Or did you expect us to lose against Brooklyn?
I expected us to beat the first three teams and lose to Brooklyn. So I got the record exactly right, but I did say that the wins that we were going to get were going to be not that pretty.
Right.
But if you look back at those wins, they were actually very pretty.
They were all very decisive. Like, we definitely got that dub.
But let me get your feels on it because, looking at those four games as a collective, obviously the 3-1 record is great, and it definitely pushed us a little higher over the 500 mark. But right after that, we went and got two back-to-back losses. After the Brooklyn loss, we also lost to the San Antonio Spurs.
Right.
So I think that 3-1 record, if we're looking at it a little bit bigger, it's kind of like a 3-2. And then looking at Toronto and Philadelphia, it's technically a 5-2 record.
That'd be 5-2, yeah.
It's a 5-2 record, but like you said, last night we didn't have our best game.
Still came out with it though.
So my question to you is, the record is showing that we're 5-2, but if I'm being completely honest, aside from those first three initial wins, I'm not very convinced that we're taking leaps that a 3-1 record would have shown. That 3-1 record to me kind of signified we were turning the corner. We're suddenly going to go on this 6-game winning streak afterwards, So granted, we did win the next two games, but what's your take on the Celtics as a whole? At that 5-2 record, or just, the overall record, what are we, 13? Let me take a quick look so I'm correct.
As a whole?
As a whole, we're 12-10.
My key point I could take away from what you just mentioned in those past 7 games, Jaylen Brown.
Jaylen Brown?
Yeah.
Jaylen Brown missing or Jaylen Brown coming back?
Jaylen Brown coming back.
Coming back. Jaylen Brown came back for OKC, where he did have a big game. I think he had 19 points.
Oh, he's hitting those tray balls.
And at one point, he had himself a little Tracy McGrady moment where he had like 10 points in a minute and a half or something like that.
He was on fire.
So it was nice. You're right. It was nice to see Jaylen Brown come back from that. But I think it was the game after that,
The Spurs game?
yeah, he didn't have a very good game. And so I'm not going to hold it against him because, to be honest, the 19-point game was more of just a tease because I thought he was going to just get right back into his groove. Where at first I thought he was going to take maybe 3, 4, maybe even 5 games to get back into rhythm.
Right.
So the fact that he had that 19-point game first, like I said, it was just more of a tease because against San Antonio, he had a regular game to where I thought he would, like I said, struggle a little bit and just need to get back into rhythm.
He blew his load early.
Mm-hmm.
Shit. It happens. It happens. So.
Which, now that you mention him, I don't know if you saw last night, but he drove to the basket at one point, and then when he came down, he grabbed his hammy.
Oh, you're talking about in the fourth quarter?
Yeah.
Like during that fast break where he should have passed it to Tatum?
I believe so.
Yeah.
At some point, he definitely grabbed his hammy, and then even just throughout the rest of the game, he was
sort of
grabbing that
he was
thigh.
acting a little funny. I remember that. I mentioned Jaylen Brown as an point just to sort of. Do you think Jaylen Brown coming back sort of whatever momentum they started picking up while he was gone? Do you think it sort of fucked that up again? Because we already know that Marcus Smart and Jaylen Brown, when it comes to locker room issues, they're the 1 and 2. They're the forefront. Tatum has no issue with Smart. Smart has no issue with Tatum. We can clearly see that in the way they play. When the way they play, you can see that Marcus Smart is all in favor for Jason Tatum taking the shots that he takes because they're setting Tatum up for those shots. Like, I think Marcus Smart is 100% comfortable with the idea and the thought that, all right, Jason Tatum's our guy. Like, on offense, Tatum's our guy.
Gotcha.
I don't think it sits 100% well with him knowing that Jaylen Brown's the number 2 on offense, or Jaylen Brown's the focal point of the offense, or anytime Jaylen Brown has to be a focal point of the offense.
Who do you think?
I think Marcus Smart has an issue with that.
Gotcha. Well, if what you're saying is true, that kind of just sounds more of like a personal problem rather than a team problem.
Absolutely.
And I only say that because if it's a personal problem, you can go to whatever team you want, my friend.
Take as many shots.
As long as we get back what we think you're worth, you can play wherever you want, my friend. But if you're playing for the Boston Celtics, I'm sorry, but any real Celtics fan will tell you whether you think Jaylen is better than Jason or you think Jason is better than Jaylen. Jaylen is definitely at least 1, if not 2.
Right.
So for Marcus Smart to feel that way, I
personally think that
you can pick any team.
There's got to be some personal disdain in terms of like how many shot opportunities Jaylen Brown's allowed, and then the third guy, which would be Marcus Smart. Gotcha. I think there's the disparity. Like, say Jaylen Brown's allowed to take 20 shots in a game, and the third person's allowed to take 12. I think there's a all right, give me 3 more and give him 3 less type of shit. Where Brown's like, motherfucker,
I see your point with that. But my counterpoint to that is just take a look at Dennis Schroeder. There are nights where he scores 29 points in a game, clearly taking all those shots that we're talking about in the disparity, you know?
Now with Schroeder, with the other guys, it's different because they're not the focal points. So when they have their, like, Grant Williams, for example, if he has a night where he's just 6 for 6 from downtown, I don't care who you are. I don't care. Like, Marcus Smart ain't an idiot too. You keep feeding that nigga the ball because you know this shit ain't gonna happen every night. So that one night where the others are playing hot, like when there's a night where Dennis Schroeder is cooking, everybody on the team knows to give Dennis the ball.
Gotcha. Okay.
Let Dennis work because you know it's a small sample. You're not gonna get it
night in, night out.
Night in, night out. So the one, like, if Romeo Langford starts going off right now, me as a teammate, I'm gonna keep feeding him the ball. I can finish the game with 0 points. If I got 5 assists and they all came from Romeo, I'm fine with that.
Gotcha.
But the next night, I'm not looking to give Romeo the ball.
Okay, that's what I was just about to say. Is you're more on the fact that at the start of every single game, we try and get Jaylen and Jason going.
Right.
Like our game plan is get them going. Like give them a couple shots, give them.
Right.
Get them going.
At some point, I feel like Marcus is tired of that. He's like, all right, I can deal with getting Tatum being the focal point, getting him the offensive game rolling. But when we have to do it for both of them, when you have to do it for both Brown and Tatum every game, in that sense, I can see that point. It takes away from the other players. Like when you're trying, Now you're
it's bad enough we have one person going ISO to watch two people want to go ISO.
Now we're standing here at all times just waiting for these motherfuckers to do something.
Gotcha.
They don't decide to pass out on the ball, to pass the ball out. Now you're sort of just left figuring out or picking up the pieces.
Right.
So it does lead to a lot of frustration. I can understand that.
I can see that, and then as well, I will argue that I don't think Jalen goes ISO as much as Jason.
He doesn't.
So I think that I get what the whole point of your the whole point of your point.
Okay.
I definitely see what you're saying, but like I said, if you're playing for the Boston Celtics, you're playing for the Boston Celtics, not yourself. So I think there's any other if Marcus feels that way, there's any other team to play for, but there are just some things we got to figure out here.
I think Smart views Brown as you're like the rest of us. Gotcha. Tatum, don't get me wrong, Tatum's that nigga on offense. He's the go-to guy, but you're on offense. You're just as good as the rest of us. So I don't see any need for it to give you 8 more shots or 5. That's what I personally think. Is going on in Marcus's mind.
I hear you, and I'm moving away from that just because I want to bring up the point that you're saying is that we hold Jason to the standard of being our superstar, our all-star, and being that level. But I'm actually going to try and take a look at his stats right here. Let me see. Aside from the 2 wins against the Lakers and the Thunder, he shot 45%, 25%, 39%, and 12%.
Yeah.
So while at the same time he scored 24 points, 15 points, and 30 points. So 24 points and 30 points, he's still eating, he's still getting his number of points, but he's clearly not shooting well.
Right.
So my thought is we're still winning these games, but even in these games that we're winning and that we think he has a good game, he really, like I said, he's still not shooting his best game. So I agree. I think Jason and Jalen are 1 and 2, but Jason clearly isn't playing at a superstar level. So are we just riding it? Are we just riding it out? And are we a 500 team because we're riding someone who is playing like this? And again, I'm not trying to come at Jason. I'm just trying to take a look at the numbers and see that yes, we're winning, but we're still not shooting. We're still not shooting well, and the numbers are showing that.
You might be onto something there. That could be an example of how the Jason Tatum experiment isn't really working at the moment. But at the same time, if Jason's having a season like this and we're sitting at sub 500,
granted we're over 500 at the moment.
Okay. Or where are we in terms of seeding? Like 6th seed, 5th seed type of shit?
I believe so.
But my point to that was, wouldn't that be more reason for your second guy to sort of step up?
And pick up
where your first guy is leaving, or your first guy is slacking. Like if Tatum's having a bad season, I'm not saying Jaylen Brown needs to sit here averaging 30, but the efficiency, the point per game, the assist, most importantly, those all need to go up. Right.
And I think going off of what you said is our second best player should be picking up where our first player is leaving off.
Right.
But it's hard to do that when our second player is consistently hurt. Or maybe not consistently hurt, but Jaylen Brown did just miss like the last 8 games. Exactly.
That's an example of where I can sort of, all right, for now, it's a wait and see approach. I'll give it a wait and see approach. January rolls in, and we're still sort of looking the way we are. The deadline's coming up. I'm still in favor of making a move because
something's just not
clicking with this squad. And we watch it on a night in, night out basis. There's something off about this team. Like they don't play, and you've heard it a couple times this year from other correspondents and shit on ESPN or whatever, other platforms and shit. They'll be saying the same thing. The way the Celtics play, they don't look like they play like a team playing pickup. Like 5 random motherfuckers found each other and they're like, "Yo, y'all trying to play? Y'all trying to play?"
Okay, I can see that.
There's no cohesion. You see the Warriors play. all those motherfuckers are on a string. Like from Draymond to Curry to fucking Fabrizio, the niggas they bring, Toscano Anderson, like the niggas they bring off on the bench, like they all run on a string. You pull one person out, you put another person in. It's like you can. That's how it feels like that. You can feel it. You can see it in their game.
Yeah, definitely. Where the Celtics are more of like push this guy here, like, get to him.
Yeah, like
oh you missed him, like help him out.
Get where, as long as the shot goes in, that's all that matters. Like there's no cohesion.
I see. I hear you. And damn, I was gonna make a point, but this bug got me. When we're winning, like when we're on that 3-game winning streak, we look like we're on a string. We look like we're a team, like we're winning.
Yeah.
And that's why it looks good. But in the losses, you can still see,
right?
Like we're saying, we're pushing guys to where they should go rather than, like you said, they should already be there.
You should know where your spot is. You should know where you should know what to expect. You should know where to be at all times on that court.
And I think that's, like we're saying, there's something that's just not clicking, and that something is what's wrong with the team. Because when we're winning, we're great.
Right.
When we're losing, you can see it in the game. Even last night's game, it was one of those games where I actually expected us to lose because of the way we were playing. Mm-hmm.
Like we didn't play necessarily great. We played well enough to beat the Sixers. In all fairness, we played well enough to beat the Sixers.
And that's with the Sixers helping us by also having a bad game.
Right. I think that's our problem. We need to find a way to sort of get that cohesion going.
But
that might be through trade.
It might be through trade, but let me shout out, like Josh Richardson, even Grant Williams. Everybody who watches this knows I'm on the Grant Williams hate train, but he's been hitting the threes, man.
Those corner
threes. I'm almost expecting him to hit those now.
He's been a corner 3 guy.
Mm-hmm. And he's been hitting them. Granted, to me, Grant going 3 for 6 is him having a good night. Him shooting 4 for 6 is him having a great night. So if he can hit that, that's all we need from him.
Oh, absolutely. Because at the same time, I don't want him taking more than 6 shots. So if he only takes 6 shots and he hits 3 out of them,
yeah, exactly.
3 out of the 6, and the 3 he takes are all 3s.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. That's what I'm starting to like about Grant is we don't need him to do much, but like I've always said, if you're an NBA player and you're in the corner and your only job is to hit that shot,
hit that fucking 3,
hit
bro.
the fucking shot.
Hit that 3.
I will say I still don't like him on defense. I think he makes a couple fouls that aren't necessary or just boneheaded.
Yo,
so
going into his season, his first season, people comparing him to Draymond Green, fucking that panda nigga Yabusele used to have. Like that's what I was hearing. Oh, he's gonna be a great defender, his size, all that kind of stuff. He's like a mini Draymond. And if you're a mini Draymond, Draymond's already mini for that position. So if you're a minier Draymond, that's a red flag right there.
Right.
But no, he's been playing a lot better this year. I threw him off the wagon before the season started. So it kind of feels funny. I'm like, hey, bro, get back on. But no, he's I'll give him credit. He's definitely been
credit where credit's due.
He's been producing.
He's been hitting those shots. Josh Richardson.
Yeah. Josh Richardson's another one.
Also stepping up.
Didn't give him any credit because he started off kind of funny this year.
He did.
But he's found his footing. My thing is, he looks a little small on the court. I don't know what it is. Like when you see him on the court, he looks like Schroeder. But he's bigger than Schroeder. I don't know what it is. But no, he's been working.
He's been working out. Schroeder having a great season as well.
Yeah.
So that's the thing is we're having players have fairly a good run of games.
Absolutely.
A good run.
Yeah, when Schroeder hit,
we're having players have a good run of games.
Yeah, I was gonna say. There we go. When Schroeder puts on the Jets, you see a noticeable difference when he pushes the tempo. Mm-hmm. And Scalabrini mentioned that last night.
I was gonna say is a lot of the time when we would just run the offense and go, we were scoring easy 2-pointers or at least getting open shots. When we sat at the top of the key or on the wing and just dribble the ball,
you slowly build the offense.
Yeah. But and again, like you mentioned, we're not on a string, so it's just like random moving pieces.
Right.
And when we're just standing there, it makes it worse.
Right. But if you drive if Schroeder keeps doing that, if Schroeder did that every possession, we're not even saying that you have to go up and go for the basket, but if you drive the ball to the rim every possession, it forces the defense to collapse. They have no choice but to collapse. If you don't collapse, Schroeder gets open for a layup. If you collapse, it leaves somebody open for a 3, this, that, and the third. So it like you were just mentioning, it gives the offense time to set up before the defense even realizes what the fuck's going on.
Mm-hmm.
And you can do it every possession, because unless they adjust and have one man up back in the back court just in case, like for the fast break, then you can do that every play. It sets things up. That's another thing too. I don't get why, as a team, we don't always go back to what works. If Tatum posts up, gets a bucket, the next play we're looking for Jaylen Brown. Next play we're looking for somebody open in the corner.
Mm-hmm.
Why don't you just go back to the same play before Tatum posting up again, and he hits a shot, and you know what? You go right to it again. Go.
For sure.
And if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Exactly. Yeah.
We try so hard nowadays in the league to be fancy, to be this, that, and the third, to try to one up a team because you think the coaches are this. These coaches ain't as smart as we think they are.
Mm-hmm.
If you run the same play 8 times, there's a good chance your player is skilled enough to where the coach and the defense can't do anything about it. Like,
as they adjust their game, he'll adjust his game.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Back in the day, Shaq posts up in the paint, give the ball to Shaq. Do it for 6 straight possessions before they start fouling the motherfucker, because they can't figure out what to do on that play.
Yeah.
Now you just opened up the offense completely. It's simple, but
sure.
But teams don't do that.
But moving forward on to who we have coming up on Friday, tomorrow, we have Utah, then we have Portland on Saturday, LA Lakers on Tuesday, and LA Clippers on Wednesday. So we actually have both LA teams back to back. One on Tuesday, the other on Wednesday, so...
That Tuesday game, the TNT game?
Yes.
Yeah, I never figured that. I'm gonna watch that.
And quick side note, I already forget the name, but it's no longer the Staples Center. What is it? It's something about some coin.
Cryptocurrency area? Like something current. Yeah.
Yeah. I'll put the name right here, but it's something like really weird, and it's like, how do you change the state? Like, I hate the Lakers as a Celtics fan, but that's the Staples Center.
Till the day I die, that's the Staples Center. Just like to most of these old heads.
And that happened so quickly. One day it was the Staples Center, the next day it's some crypto.
Yeah, usually it's like it'll happen next year. That should happen.
Yeah, all right. I didn't even know it was for sale. Like, usually there'll be like the bidding rights for the name are up for grabs, up for auction. So we have Utah, Portland, LA. Portland's been having a rough season this year. Damian Lillard, I think he's out with some health issues. I know LeBron is. I think he has COVID, unfortunately.
That's another one too.
Mm-hmm.
We can get on that. Hopefully. Let me get back to Lillard. Lillard, I'm not too sure about his injury. It might be health related.
Mm-hmm.
They're having an up and down year so far this year. He needs to join the Celtics. I think he knows that too. We can make that trade for Marcus Smart. We can make that happen. Robert Williams and Marcus Smart. I'm down for that too.
I think it need to be a little bit more money, more money than that. But I don't think Damian Lillard is worth the money, because he's on a supermax.
Oh, he's on a supermax, but in that one, if he just gives you one great season, and seeing how Lillard plays, all we need is one great season. Get us that ring. Yo, pay the nigga for the next 4 or 5 years, whatever contract he's owed. And if we don't win another championship, I'd be fine with that.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
But if he won us a chip, because I think even if you're paying him 4 years, $200 million, I think the trade itself is enough for Lillard to sort of give him that second burst of energy. Like, yo, now that championship is life or death to me now.
Gotcha.
Because he was so stout, so starch on staying in Portland and not moving. So the fact that if he took a trade and went somewhere else, that is dedication right there. Like, he's dedicated to winning that championship.
Okay.
So in terms of Damian Lillard, you need to come join the Celtics, because we can use you. You can use us, and we help each other out. LeBron, I heard that motherfucker has COVID.
Right. Yeah. So he's gonna be out. Apparently he's asymptomatic, but he's gonna be out for that game. Like I said, I thought it was Damian Lillard that's gonna be out for Portland.
Yeah, so we got 4 games. I think if LeBron doesn't play, and you mentioned that he won't be playing, that's gonna be a dub. So I think we'll go 3-1.
3-1.
Yeah.
You're saying we're gonna beat Utah, beat Portland, beat LA, lose to LA.
Yeah, lose to the Clippers.
Gotcha. So you're thinking we're gonna go on a little 4-game winning streak here?
Absolutely. Oh, there we go. If those games in succession just like that, then yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, actually, it'll be more than that. It'll be a 5-game winning streak because we beat Toronto as well.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh yeah, yeah. We could use a good 5-game winning streak too.
Yeah, we could. So if we go on a 5-game winning streak, I think I don't want to say it'll be the turn of the corner because every time we go on these little win streaks, I always say it looks like it's gonna be the turn of the corner, and then we
sort of
just go right back to reality with like a 2-game losing streak or like just a bad loss. So I'm gonna say I think we're gonna lose to Utah, beat Portland, beat LA, beat LA Lakers, and against the Clippers, I'm gonna say I think we're gonna win.
All right.
So
definitely Utah's that loss.
So I'm actually saying 3-1 over the next 4 games as well, but Utah is gonna be my loss.
And you might be right in terms of who you picked is gonna beat the Celtics because we don't play well against good teams.
Mm-hmm.
Like teams that actually play really well.
Utah is 14-7, so
yeah,
they're gonna be a tough matchup, like you're saying. Hopefully we come out with the win, but I think, like I said, these little win streaks usually look like at the turn of a corner, but then we get brought back to reality. So I think Utah is gonna be that one for us, and Utah is gonna beat us, and then we go on that win streak from there.
That would be smooth.
Mm-hmm.
If that happens, that's perfect.
So hopefully next week we'll come back with a 3-1 record for you guys. Hopefully the Celtics will make some needed adjustments to make that 3-1 record possible. But as always, thank you for watching. If you haven't already, follow us on Instagram. It'll be right here. Leave a like, a comment, please subscribe, and we'll catch you next time.
Part 2.
Peace.